All right, Courtney, let me just tell the people out there, if you're not familiar with how these episodes of the Ghost Movie Project, how they typically go, and this is the first time that you're seeing one. First of all, how would this be the first one that they saw, middle of season 2, episode whatever? But if it is,
Get with the program, people.
actually, though, you know what? I will say this one could be the very first one that people find just because of one of the movies alone. So maybe I shouldn't knock it if it is your first time. But let me tell you how these episodes typically do move. And it's how we break down 2 different movies. And we usually split the time pretty evenly across an hour 15-ish. This one, we could actually do a whole entire series on one of the movies. And then the other movie could probably just be a YouTube short or Instagram post because
Yeah.
all the time we really need to go in.
Yeah. And not for lack of it being a good movie or anything, just content-wise, there is so much to say.
Yes. And the first movie that we're going to talk about, it has been talked about and talked about and talked about. What else can we say? I don't know, but we're going to try. But the movie is The Shining. I love this movie. This is one of my favorite movies of all time. I don't have favorites. So that's saying something, you know, like I don't really say, that's my favorite. No, The Shining is up there. And I mean, this movie right here has been broken down and dissected more than a high school frog in a lab, you know? So really, yes, like there's no
Oh my gosh.
I got it. Let me start off with this. Have you ever heard of the hotel ghost?
The
Yeah.
hotel ghost?
Yeah. No,
No.
I mean, so we took a family trip up to Oregon here, and that's actually where The Shining, some of the exterior scenes were shot. So I was up in that area. Now we took a family trip, and it was one of the first times that we stayed in a hotel, and the kids, they were loud, they were screaming and stuff. And I went to get some dinner, and I come back, and they're quiet. And Lindsay says, I told him about the hotel ghost.
Oh.
Okay. You know, I'm playing along. I catch it. And then later she tells me that she told them that all hotels have a ghost. And if the kids are too loud and want to wake up the ghost.
Love it.
And I'm telling you, these kids, they were terrified the rest of the night. I don't know if we should feel bad or good.
You know, I like to chalk these instances up to creative parenting. I feel like sometimes you do what you got to do. And it's not necessarily a lie because theaters, hotels, they're notorious, especially if they're an old inn or tavern or used to be a tavern in olden times. You for sure are going to get some paranormal activity.
Now, I could see that. But this hotel was like a Hilton. Like, we weren't going to get
even better.
In the middle of nowhere. We weren't staying at the Overlook here, you know, from The Shining.
Yeah.
It was just Hilton. But I thought that was an incredible thing to do. And then I started thinking about it. I was like, we're about to talk about a haunted hotel. And I'm glad that I wasn't thinking about it when I wasn't at Hilton because I might have thought it was haunted. Like I might have got into my, you know.
For sure. And I mean, there's a lot of really great stories about the hotel that Stephen King based the book on in Estes Park, Colorado. Some great haunting stories about the owner and his wife who moved out there because I guess she had tuberculosis and they thought the weather would be better for her health. And he ended up building this giant, awesome hotel that was kind of a destination for a lot of the high society to come. And there's a lot of stories about seeing his ghost and her ghost and the piano in the ballroom playing by itself. Really cool kind of legend ghost stories from the original hotel that this is about.
The Stanley.
Makes sense.
The Stanley. That's the name of the hotel. That's the one it was based off. Now, I've got to look at this.
Woo! 217 from the novel.
That's some metal right there. That's the number plate off the door from the Stanley Hotel in Estes Park. Now, this is where the hotel itself behind the scenes, it gets crazy because there's about 3 or 4 different locations for this hotel, for the Overlook, that's seen in the movie. It's based off of the Stanley. It's filmed up in Oregon in Timberline Lodge, but the set itself was built in London.
Yeah.
So there's all of these pieces that are meshed together, and when you watch this, you don't know that. You don't think that. Like, there's nobody
No,
that thinks this is all in different places and areas, and you
it feels seamless completely. Like, even, as they're going in and out of the hotel and different scenes are outside and inside. And yeah,
now
they did an excellent job.
that's the magic of Stanley Kubrick. That's really a lot
Mhm.
of what he does. He makes sure that everything is perfect, which really shows in the film because this movie is a perfect movie to me. The reason being is most of these scenes were shot like 30, 40, 100 times, to get it
Yeah.
right. He wanted to see every variation of anything he could find to the point that he almost drove the people on the set crazy.
Yeah. I mean, this man is detailed for
He
sure. And everyone who's studied this film at nauseum, the cult following that it has, they knew that about him and his previous movies. So everything is picked apart because they knew that is how detailed he was in making this movie. Like background, symbolism, every little thing. I love it.
This movie, like I said, there's so much stuff to talk about. It's based on a Stephen King novel. Now, based on loosely, because there's a point in the movie, I'm talking like 10, 15 minutes in, and right there is about the point where the book and the movie do this.
Mm-hmm.
King he hated Kubrick's version of this movie and
Right.
didn't like the adaptation at all because it wasn't what he pictured. So now you've got an awesome book and an awesome movie, but they don't like, it's weird.
Yeah, they don't line up. And this is one of those instances where it absolutely can be genius and genius. I mean, I really think that, okay, the book, it's amazing what it is. Obviously, Stephen King is somewhat successful. Okay. Like, kind of heard of him. And then you have this movie, The Shining, and it's a absolute masterpiece. I really do believe that. Watching it again, and I was so glad I had an opportunity to watch it again because I really haven't seen it in many years. And there were parts about it I was like, oh, I don't remember that. I'm so glad I'm watching this again because I did not catch that the first or second time.
I love watching this movie. I usually tried to watch it about once a year, and I usually do it about the first time it snows here.
Nice
The
ambiance.
atmosphere to it. Now, the snow that you saw in that movie, I hate to burst people's bubbles back there, but that was not snow. It wasn't even outside. I'm not talking about the actual exterior shots of the hotel and all that. I'm talking about if it was indoors and you saw it snowing outside, what that was styrofoam being sprinkled down from the rooftops, and in the background where you saw all the snow piled up, that was salt. That was actual rocks
Man,
back there. So, yeah, wasn't too
if it
cold.
was Himalayan salt, then everybody would just be a lot healthier having been shooting on that set.
They might have been, but you know what? There was another scene later that did do some unhealthy stuff, and it was the bar scene. We'll get to this, but there's a fog in the air, and the way that they got that fog was using drops of oil that is now illegal. You can't do this because it's not good for you. But they put drops of oil into like a vaporizer thing, and it gave that mist, that fog, dreamlike.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's not even they can't use that anymore. But Stanley Kubrick would use anything and everything to get the perfect shot, even if it was at the expense of the health of
Of all the cast that were breathing in this, who knows what, asbestos,
but he
maybe.
also wasn't insane. But I think that's also part of the genius in him. How do you make a movie about people who are going insane without literally driving them insane to the point where they're doing the take 100 times and they just have to get animated? They have to do something different and something crazy because they've already done it every other way.
Right.
So you see all these things come out. You see Jack, you see Jack Nicholson, you see him animated. All of his scenes are it's almost mugging is what they call it. They call it mugging. He's showing his emotions. He shows all this stuff before it actually happens. Shelley Duvall playing Wendy does the same thing. Like she's telegraphing, she's mugging. It's because the scenes that you see are probably the 40th time that they've done that.
Yes, yes.
You know?
And there's a lot of like background, about how Shelley Duvall never recovered mentally from filming this movie. I mean, it's very sad when you look at the history of it and maybe, went a bit too far and how much they pushed her to be able to get some of these amazing scenes that they got from her. But she is really amazing.
The scenes where she's in complete fright and terror and, descending into madness or whatever you want to say, that was 100 days of filming.
Ugh, and she is falling apart. I mean,
She's
you can
falling
see
apart.
it.
So she's doing that day in, day out, every single day.
Yeah.
The same set because they didn't move sets like most movies do. They didn't move around. This was kind of more like a sitcom is. It's a set. The cameras knew where they were going to go. The people who were working day in, day out had the same spots to go to every single day. So they even had to witness Shelley Duvall mentally putting a strain on herself. Like it had to be. And like she never recovered.
Yeah. It's really kind of sad story, but it was interesting to watch kind of some other movies and documentaries made about this and see kind of behind the scenes. Stanley Kubrick's daughter made kind of a behind the scenes documentary of her own, which was interesting to watch to see how, just like you said, you can see the crew in their spots. You can see how when they were doing like one takes where they were following Danny, the little boy, and he's like running around and climbing into the cabinet, and they're getting all of this done, and you see Jack Nicholson like getting ready for his scene, and he's coming in and he's like running and jumping to kind of get that like momentum going, and it's just fascinating to watch how they filmed this.
Stanley Kubrick came up with new inventions. They used every kind of vehicle they could possibly get their hands on to move from shot to shot and be able to get back to the beginning faster so they could redo it and do it again. They made a wheelchair. They made a rigged up type of wheelchair. I don't know if they got a patent on this thing or not, but that's what they were using. And it had some sort of rubber wheels and a camera mount, and there was someone pushing it, and that's how they followed Danny and on the tricycle. But
love those scenes.
Those scenes
classic.
I'm going to tell you why this whole movie is amazing, and it's probably been said before and everything, but it's because of a guy named Garrett Brown. Garrett Brown invented the Steadicam. Rocky was, I believe, somebody out there correct me if I'm wrong, but Rocky was the first movie to use the Steadicam, and he used this Steadicam thing many, many times after that, and it was mostly used for, think about Rocky running up the stairs. Well, you had a Steadicam, and it kept it steady, so you didn't get the jarring.
Yeah.
Everything was almost like it was on a dolly. Now, Garrett thought, this is what my career is going to be. It's going to be running, chasing people, and doing all this. Kubrick said, no, I want that guy to work on this film, and it's going to be in tight places, but we still want it to look like it's a dolly. We're going to use wide lenses. There's all these things. So he went from all this fast-paced stuff to really having to hold a camera completely still. So every single shot, this is evident in. So at the time, the Steadicam
fluid.
It would have been heavy. The Steadicam would have been a heavy piece of equipment at the time. So you got to really look at this and say, I don't see any movement.
Yeah, it really does make you forget that it's a movie and that it puts you like right in there, like you're following this kid around on his tricycle. You experience everything just like he is. I mean, it makes a huge difference when you forget about the camera completely. So not having it jar or, do something that reminds you it's there. Yeah. And I love to see the people who use those scenes, all the different scenes of walking someone through the hotel, or there's even in the beginning when he's going in there to do his initial interview with Mr. Ullman, and he's going through the lobby and into the office, people have mapped out the potential blueprint of this hotel. It's so interesting to watch how fans and people who love the movie have like picked it apart to every little thing using those scenes where they follow him through the hotel and they're like, this is the first floor. He goes in like a basic, rectangle. And then they're like, but notice in the second time when they see him going through the hallways, they're like, it doesn't make any sense because he turns right, and then he turns right again. And like where he ends up doesn't make any sense according to the second floor plan, I guess. And I guess it, as the movie goes on, it creates that sense of disorientation where you're like, I'm not really sure where I'm at because the hallways just kind of keep going. Even though they don't make logical sense as we go around, it's like he keeps turning, but there's just more hallway. Super fascinating. I love it.
I think that's just a reflection on the whole movie itself as being a loop, an infinite loop, really, because you think about it, they do all these twists and turns, but they always end up back in the same places.
Right. Yeah. And then they're back again. And then, and then him passing the room, of course, which I will point out because you have the room 217, which was in the novel. And a lot of people have speculated, well, why didn't they use that for the movie? They used 237 for the movie. Stanley Kubrick had said, it was a quote, he was like, oh, we couldn't because that number wouldn't have existed in the hotel that we were using or whatever. But they went back and said, that's not actually true. That, his excuse for using that. And then it launched people into this whole theory about Stanley Kubrick having been the director who made the moon landing videos, and that maybe that was his nod to the stage they used when it was just this deep dive and all these Easter eggs in the movie where Danny's wearing a sweater that says Apollo 11. It was just fascinating to watch people's theories as you go into these. I won't go into all of it because you can watch all those documentaries and, go into those deep dives. But I thought it was so interesting to watch how people took every little detail and went, this means something. I know it does.
Now, 237 and 217, the Timberline Lodge in Oregon actually had a room 217, and they asked them not to use a room 217 because they didn't want people bombarding.
Using that, right.
So there's also that factor that mixed in, but also 237 is in another Kubrick movie, and it's Dr. Strangelove and How I Stopped Worrying and Stopped Loving the Bomb or whatever. The code to push the nuke was 237.
Makes sense. Okay. I can see that. Yeah. And there's a lot of Easter eggs like that with numbers. They pointed out how many times the number 42 was used in the movie and that maybe that's a nod to Nazi Germany. And there was all of these like subliminal messages. In fact, they said Stanley Kubrick had gone to an ad agency where they were studying subliminal messaging, and he did like a ton of research before making this movie to try to utilize subliminal messages in it. So people are just frame by frame watching this movie, slowing it down and watching every frame one at a time. I even saw in the documentary that someone played this movie because of a Redditor who said you should watch this movie forwards and backwards at the same time. So they played it in a movie theater forwards and backwards right on top, superimposed on top of each other just to see like what images popped up. It's insane.
Wild. And a lot of those images would work superimposed because it goes back to Garrett Brown. Actually, Stanley Kubrick arguing and fighting over what's known as crosshairs on the camera. And he would fight, and Kubrick would say, it's got to be right there.
Yeah. Because he lined up those slow transitions very carefully. Everything meant something. Everything.
I would love to see that superimposed copy of it. That sounds wild to me because, I can see that happening. And back to Garrett one more time. The only scene that he ended up doing that involved any running was when Wendy's running through the corridors and the kitchen and all that. That's it. So other than that, the rest of this it looked like a dolly, which was a huge machine on tracks back in they still use it now, but you have to actually lay tracks down and do the whole thing. No dollies, none of that. So that was an incredible piece of equipment and technology at the time. I love the conspiracies though. That Apollo 11 sweater.
So interesting.
That Apollo 11 sweater was missed a lot at the time, but it starts making more sense when you hear about the conspiracies that, yeah, Kubrick filmed the moon landing and faked the moon landing.
And that he couldn't say anything about it, so he used The Shining, you know, and the fact that he wasn't seeking out The Shining to make, he wasn't a super big fan of it, and like Stephen King, and then there's all of these little Easter eggs of like an FU to Stephen King in the movie. But the fact that he maybe used this opportunity of, I've got to make this movie The Shining. The studios are, you know, they're kind of requesting that I make it, but I'm going to use it to reveal maybe this moon landing project that he wanted to show people that he was a part of. So it's interesting. I mean, you could read way too much into it, or you can be like, maybe there's something there. Either way, it's a lot of fun.
There could definitely be something there. The fact that he had filmed 2001: A Space Odyssey and way before that, and then the moon landing stuff happened, and you look at that movie, you're like, holy cow. You know what? I forgot to even mention this. I love The Shining and Stanley Kubrick because I own exactly 4 4K Ultra HD movies.
Wow.
And The Shining is one. So I got The Shining right here. 2001: Space Odyssey.
Yep.
How can you forget Hal, the robot, the whole thing? You know what? Hal and the bartender in The Shining have a very similar role. Like they are almost the same character. You think about it and you look at it.
Okay.
They're isolated, but that's the only person they're talking to. There's a lot of similarities I can get into. We'd probably do a whole episode on that, on how
the comparisons of these movies, all these Stanley Kubrick movies, and like where they line up.
Yeah, like Hal and Lloyd. Lloyd is the bartender. Like Hal and Lloyd do have a lot of similarities. And but let me get to my other ones. Total Recall. This is not a Kubrick movie, but this is a classic for me right here. And then Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, because why not? You know, that's my 4.
4?
That's my 4.
Those are your 4.
All I had. That's all I had. That's
Going to a desert island. What movies are you going to take?
Total Recall, 2001, and The Shining right there.
That's all you need. Yeah. Well, I want to point out, because you mentioned the bartender, and I love that I read somewhere that Kubrick didn't really like believe in ghosts, or that wasn't really his thing. And his portrayal of ghosts, as we're talking about this as a ghost movie, is that they're just real people. Like, he just put them in there. He didn't put them in there as ghosts, the way that we imagine it. He was like, which I know that for me, when I was watching this movie at a much younger age, it was a bit more confusing to me, I think, back then, because I didn't think of this as a ghost movie at all back then. I was like, wait, all of a sudden, so I know they're in this hotel alone, but all of a sudden there's people there? I'm confused. Like, it didn't click for me that this was supposed to be either Jack's hallucinations as he's going into madness, or as we look at it from the perspective of Danny as a potentially very special and gifted little boy who's a medium. And he's actually seeing ghosts. He's seeing spirits. He's seeing some sort of paranormal activity here, right?
That's what
it's interesting how that was interpreted.
That's what I like to believe. I like to believe it's a mix of all of it. I like to think it's...
Has to be.
Yeah, I like to think it's a mix of Jack's going mad, Wendy's going something.
Yeah.
Danny's just in his own world, but he's isolated and he's seeing crazy stuff. He's seeing those twins.
Right.
I think he's actually got the ability. I mean, Scatman Carruthers.
The Shining, right?
Scatman Carruthers and Danny had that incredible conversation. That scene, there's a close up of Scatman, of Halloran, the character he plays. There's a one scene, a close up, and I've researched this. 48 takes is what they did that one scene on.
Wow.
Space. And
can you imagine?
If you watch that scene knowing how many times they did the takes, you can watch it now and say it's perfect. Like, every piece of that scene hits so hard. This is where we learn The Shining. We get the term The Shining.
Yes.
Scatman as a child had it and could talk to his grandmother. So now we learn It's a real thing. We see it.
Yes.
So I think this scene right here is probably my favorite scene in the whole movie, honestly. It's underrated, maybe, because it gets taken over by the "Here's Johnny" scene and all these other ones.
Yeah. Yeah.
But this scene right here, to me, really, really, it really did it. Like, I do think that Kubrick nailed it. Carruthers, Scatman, he nailed it, and Danny.
Yeah. Oh, the boy is incredible. I mean, really, this little boy, kudos to this little boy and the actor played him. But I want to point out that scene too, because as we're talking about story, we're going to move into like the story of the movie in comparison to some of the other movies that we're reviewing here on the Ghost Movie Project. We talk about kids a lot. I mean, kids having this ability and being more intuitive, right? It is so important and so cool that Danny has this mentor. And so much in like the world of mediums, psychics, mystical type things, you do find children oftentimes are very intuitive. They have abilities, and sometimes those abilities get shut down or they get ashamed of their abilities, or, and it causes them mental health issues because they're like, nobody believed me when I told them I could see things or hear things, like that kind of thing. And I just have to point out, no matter if you believe in any of this stuff, you don't believe in paranormal, whatever, how important it is to validate kids when they are saying, I'm experiencing this. I'm experiencing fear and anxiety and things because of what I'm seeing, what I'm feeling. Because that's kind of what this guy does is he's like, you're not wrong. You're not crazy. Like, that's real what you're experiencing. It's real because it's real to him. And so he has this kind of mentor role as like, it's okay. It's okay to feel and see the things that you're feeling. He does tell him, stay out of that room, 237.
Yep,
Don't go in there. Nothing
yep.
for you there. Right. So I just have to point out that, like, how many kids in any of these horror movies that we watch or in real life, when they're experiencing mediumship abilities or Clara gifts, that if they have somebody tell them, it's okay. I'll show you how to manage this. You don't have to be afraid. It can make all the difference. So good for him.
It really is a rare thing to happen because we have only talked about in the Ghost Movie Project kids with psychic abilities, but now we finally meet an adult who admits that when he was a kid has had these psychic abilities and still has them. So we see that it's possible that it's, I hate to say this, that it's real and kids don't outgrow something. Like, it's actually,
Yeah,
you see what I'm saying? Like, the imaginary
absolutely.
friends, the index finger, it's
Tony. Yeah.
totally real. Like, that's all actually there, and it's not just some kid with a big imagination, because Scatman comes in there and says, "Nah, I had this when I was a kid."
Yeah.
And
And
he's,
how do you know things that you didn't know any other way? I mean,
yeah,
Danny knows things about this hotel. He knows things that he otherwise should know. He's had visions about this hotel before he even got there. So it's just something to kind of consider that even if you were a person who were like, this is all bullshit, I don't believe in any of this. If you've got somebody who's like, it's real to me, it goes a long way just to say, okay, well, then I'll suspend belief that maybe this for you is something.
exactly. And that kind of goes back to the whole thing of, is it real? Is it really haunted? Is it, people just going into madness? But I go back to what I said. I like to think of it as a mix of both, because tell me if I'm not wrong here, but trauma can manifest in haunted places, even more so than a peaceful place, right?
Yeah, and I think this movie encompasses a lot of different types of hauntings, which we kind of, when we came up with this whole project, thinking Ghost Movie Project, what are we going to talk about? There are different kinds of hauntings. So this movie does kind of show a little bit of everything, and that some of it is Jack, this darkness that Jack has and his abilities and his, which I'll go into in a minute because I have some things to say about Jack. But it's a little bit of his mental anguish of going crazy in isolation in this hotel, right? So you have like maybe some of it is visions of what once happened here at this hotel. He's tapping into something paranormal, but he's also kind of going crazy in himself. You have the little boy, Danny, who's able to see ghosts of people who actually lived and died there in the hotel. And then you also have entities that are sort of maybe have been alive and have been unalived in a traumatic way. So their souls are sort of connected to this place. I'm talking about the woman in the bathtub. Okay. Say it. Yeah. So she's still there. She's still like connected to this space. And then you have the haunting kind of experience of the whole ballroom scene with all of these people from the 90s dressed up. That may not be the souls of those partygoers trapped there. That may actually be what they kind of call a recording, where certain events have happened in a space. And the space, because of the energy of that space itself, the shape of the space, there's a lot of speculation of why this happens. But the souls aren't actually there anymore. It's just that the space is replaying a recording over and over again of something that happened there. So a lot of times people will experience that where it's like, I walked into an area, people talk about it at Versailles. There's tourists that have gone to Versailles and all of a sudden they'll walk into a space and it'll be people in period clothing, like dressed up in the powdered wigs and the giant ball gowns and things. And they just are like, wait, did I just step into some weird cosplay situation or what's happening here? But it's actually just, and then it will, as fast as they walked in, it'll just be done. It'll be gone. All those people are gone. And it's like you just walked into a recording of something that it's playing over and over and over again, kind of.
Like an echo or something.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of like how it's recorded on a tape, but it's recorded in a space.
Now,
the energy is still there.
I think that's this whole movie, though. I really do think it's all a cycle because the picture that we see at the very end with Jack in the middle, it's at that.
Yes. Another thing that was really confusing for me when I first saw this movie, I remember seeing that at the end and going, wait. What does this mean?
Yep. So
up for speculation, right?
It goes, I think it's all told in this scene right after the bar where Jack goes to the bathroom. And we have the encounter with, it's not Lloyd. Is it Lloyd? Grady.
Yeah. Grady.
He sees Grady in the bathroom and it starts to dawn on Jack. And scene is incredible to me because you've got all the scenes leading up to this where Jack is, he's all over the place. He's overly animated. He's overly active.
Yeah.
You got this scene with him and Grady, and when it gets serious, they just lock eyes, and that's it. And they're standing still, and it's all with a face. It's all of this. And he tells Jack, you've always been the groundskeeper. And he says, we've always been here. I've always been here.
Yeah.
And then you see the picture of Jack in the 20s in that frame. Now, he's always been there. So,
right.
How long? How long is it?
Paranormal. It's like a pulling in of a space. Like, there's other horror movies. I can't think of one right now, but there's The Haunting is one where they are like the place itself is calling the people into it because, it's some kind of cycle that they have to replay out over and over and over again in like reincarnation, possibly, or just the souls are being called back to this place over and over.
Echoes of death.
Mm.
Is that what it'd be? I like that.
Yeah, that is interesting. We should write our own movie and that's what it'll be called. Oh yeah. Good band name. Yeah. Yeah. But I have to point out, so as we're talking about Jack going a little bit crazy.
A little bit.
So I need to know your thoughts on this because I know my thoughts on this. First, my thoughts are spending, 5 months. I think they said they were going to be there. 5 months. And he's, in the very beginning of the movie, Mr. Ullman's like, not everybody can take it mentally. This is kind of tough to be up here. The job itself isn't really that hard. You've got these lists of duties to do or whatever, but you'll be isolated up here for 5 months. Do you feel like you can handle that? And I know my thought on that was, oh my gosh, give me 5 months in this hotel by myself any day. Like 2025 version of me is like, yes, please. I'll take it. I can handle it. Let's go.
I could do 5 years in that hotel. I'll tell you how long I could be gone somewhere. You remember when they had that thing, that Mars one thing where they had this lottery, they were going to send people to Mars?
Yeah.
Never heard of it. You probably never got scammed in that. I tried to get into that. and I was going to be sent to Mars as one of the first people, knowing I was never coming back.
Be fine. It'd be like a fresh start, you know. Well, I don't know if I could do 5 years, but especially if you've got my family there with me, and I'm like, I won't be alone. I'm gonna with my family, my kids. It would be fine. They've got all this space to run around, ride their bikes throughout the winter. That would be cool. And all I am asked to do, which I'm just gonna point out that this is all Jack really has to do, is write his novel, write his book.
Fucking book.
And give me 5 months isolated, like, oh, you're probably not going to have access to internet, things like that. So social media is not going to drag you away and take up all your time. You just get to sit there and write your book for 5 months. I'm like, sign me up.
Not only
Sign me up.
Not only that, but you're expected and known to be cut off from the world. Nobody's expecting to hear from you. It's like, you're good. We know you're there.
To do. You'll be provided for. You'll have food.
If you need help, you got a radio. You can radio down to the, wildlife station down the hill.
Yeah.
They might
so,
get
the wife in me, the mother and wife in me watching this movie, I'm just going to say it. I'm just pissed at Jack because I'm like, dude, all you have to do is sit and write your novel. And he's bouncing a ball up the wall. He's slowly going crazy. I'm like, listen, you were hired for this job. He even gets mad at his wife at one point when he's gone full cuckoo. He's like, I have responsibilities. Do you understand? And I'm like, what responsibilities, dude? Your wife was doing all the work. She's over there lighting the boilers. She's over there doing her checklist. She's over there cooking meals for her and the kid. She's doing everything.
She was the anchor. Wendy is the anchor.
She was not going mentally crazy until he did, of course. But she is like, okay, she is like the mental lion here. She's like, this is great. I'm having a great time. I'm doing my duties. I'm doing whatever. And she's even so nice to him. Like she comes in and goes, how's it going, sweetie? How's it going, honey? Do you need a sandwich? Can I make you a sandwich? I'm like, oh, Jack, come on, man. Yeah. And then when he writes all work and no play, I'm like, are you kidding me? It's been all play and no work, dude.
Yeah, what have you done? Not even clean, not even sweep the floor once, maybe. Threw the ball. When the ball got away from him, he didn't even go pick it up. It's still out there somewhere. He did in the lobby. He threw it down the hallway and it just bounces somewhere else. So he doesn't go get it.
Yeah.
What a lazy bastard. It's not.
I know. And at one point he's studying the labyrinth on the table. He's got that, that model of the labyrinth. He can like sit and look at it, right? But Danny and Wendy are out in the labyrinth, like playing in it, really exploring it, getting to know it, which serves him later because Danny can get in that labyrinth and back out, no problem, while Jack is stuck in the labyrinth, can't get himself out.
Stuck in the loop. He's stuck in the loop. He's not ever getting out of that loop or the labyrinth. All he had to do is write a book, Courtney.
I know. I can't get over it. The feminist in me is just like, dude, so Wendy's the hero. And
you know what? It's not the first time a Stephen King book has had an issue with the actor, with the character writing a book. Because I felt the same way when Johnny Depp was in that Secret Window movie. He had a cabin to himself. All he had to do was type up a fucking book. And he had all these issues going on, man. Just lock yourself in there and do it.
Yeah, I know. Because if I have an hour to myself, and I have a lot of ideas of books I want to write and things like that, but I very rarely let myself have any time to sit and just write. And I get distracted, as we all do. But there was a time a couple months ago when I sat down and I was like, I have an hour before I have to be somewhere or do anything. I'm going to sit down and just pretend like I'm really just writing a book. I'm just going to go for it and write this book. I had the best hour of my life. I was like in it. I was so in my book. I could have been in another world and I'm just typing away and I'm going at it. And I'm like, imagine if I had 5 months to write a book. It'd be great.
So if anybody out there would like to give me and Courtney donations and to cover us going somewhere for 5 months and locking up.
Give me that advance.
Give
and
us an
send
advance.
me off to a castle in Wales,
You can
and
send
I
us.
will write you a book.
You can send both of us off separately. You can send us together. We're going to come up with something. We would give the world the greatest thing they ever had.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, I know I have the mental fortitude for it because I was in the hospital for 2 months before my twins were born. The staff, nurses, and all that, they were like real kind of concerned. Like they've seen moms sitting in a hospital for a few months before their baby's born. It's kind of isolating. It's kind of hard, and they were always checking on me. And I remember them saying, "You are the most mentally stable person we've ever had in here." Because I woke up every morning at 6 a.m., showered, got ready for the day, did a little kinesthetics in my hospital bed, watched traffic and news on while I had my breakfast. I was like, I had a schedule, man. I had like my day planned out. I would do watercolors for the afternoon. I had a nap time. I was living it up in the hospital for 2 months. And I'm like, this dude can't handle being in a big old hotel for 5 months. And by the second month, he's already losing his mind. So
Just write a book.
there's that. Okay.
Let me ask you,
That's what I have to say about that.
do you think the Overlook in the movie, I know outside the movie, yes, it's a real place. Do you think in the movie that it was an actual real place, or is it something in the astral realm?
Mm. I love exploring the idea of some kind of other world because in Celtic folklore and lots of other folklore, I mean, you can find it all over the world, but there is a lot of like other worlds existing within our world. But in order to access it, you would have to like go through a portal. It's like, there would be a fairy ring or something that would denote some kind of transition into this other world that exists within our world, but you have stepped somewhere else in it. And when there's something like this, a space, like we were talking about, some kind of it's almost like a vacuum of energy. People who are there like get stuck there, souls get stuck there. Once you go in, you're not going out. It's got hold of you. It does kind of denote that otherworldly kind of thing where maybe this family transitioned from this world to another world when they came to this hotel.
Maybe
Right.
maybe that transition is that opening shot of them weaving up and down the road. And if you look at it close, if you were in that car, you wouldn't know what's around the next corner at any point in that car ride.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe that's a
Yeah.
symbolic. Maybe the portal is the elevator scene.
Ooh,
What
yeah.
comes out after that? When the elevator scene happens after that, the whole movie starts going ape shit, really.
Yeah.
So maybe there are portals in the movie. I like to think about them in a different way. I like to think about this in, you know, that it could be a place that's somewhere out there, not real. You can still get there somehow.
Yeah. But here's what's the scariest part about it, and maybe this is where horror films really tap into this idea, is that you don't have a whole lot of control of whether you go into those other worlds or not. You could be walking in many of the folklore about other worlds is that people enter the other world without realizing they've entered it because they were walking through the woods and all of a sudden they're lost. All of a sudden the woods look different than they did the day before. They thought they knew where they were, but then they've crossed over and they didn't realize it. So it's not something that you would necessarily, be able to stop yourself from doing. And it kind of almost gives me the vibes of Stranger Things. It's the upside down. It's like it is our world and you're still here somehow, but you're not, right?
Parallel universe or something? Is that the same
Yeah.
thing?
Other dimensions,
Other
other
dim-
realities.
Yeah,
So much we could explore there.
I just like to think that the Overlook was, it's real, but it's in another dimension. It's in another astral realm, like I said. Um,
Yeah.
Maybe it's because I've seen the movie so many times. I like to watch it with a different perspective or thought. But the thing is, you can go in with any perspective and thought, and it would be hard to argue and say that's wrong.
Right. That's what's the brilliance of this movie is that you can watch it 100 times. I still think there's new things you'll find or different theories you could follow, and you would be able to find some thread to follow in the film. And many people have, which is why there's so much cult following. In fact, I was going to mention my parents used to run movies at the Ogden Eccles Perry's Egyptian Theater. They used to do like a themed, sing along movie theme or whatever, and they did that for many years. And my mom said as we were watching this movie, she's like, "Oh yeah, The Shining. That was our biggest turnout. Like for movies being shown at the theater, that was one of the big ones." Tons of people still love that movie. So,
Do you think
I don't.
you could, as a practitioner of whatever it would take, could you cleanse something like the Overlook?
I have never attempted something quite like that, but I mean, I'd give it a go for sure. I think that for some of it, it's going to be if there's unresolved souls that need to go, there are ways to get them to go. There's other ways of being able to pinpoint what is it that those souls are connecting to this place and disconnecting them from that. A lot of times, if an entity is attached to a place or a person, and I'm not talking about possession necessarily, but just entities and energies that can attach to us as we go through life, sometimes it's about discovering what it is that entity thinks it's doing for you. Sometimes that those souls, they think they're there to help you out. And I think that Grady is an example of that, because I think whatever he went through in life, he sees that in Jack, sees that same, like the father of the family. He's not being respected enough, I guess. They're not listening to him. They're undermining him. So he thinks he's helping out Jack by being like, you got to get this under control, Jack. You got to get your family under control. You know how I did it. That's how you need to do it, right? This is like, hey, thank you for thinking you're helpful, but this is actually not helpful, and you can go on your way now. And as a Reiki practitioner, we're trained in that sort of circumstance to be able to say, you can move along. You're no longer needed here.
Well, if you do want to try it out and cleanse a hotel, I mean, we can go to the room 217 at the Stanley. We can go to, that's at Estes Park. We could go to the Cecil in Los Angeles, I believe.
Yep.
That's what American Horror Story Hotel was based off of. There's a lot of hauntings there, murders there. You could go to the Hilton in Portland, Oregon, and get rid of that hotel ghost that my wife made up to tell my kids about. There's a whole bunch
Yeah.
of places.
And I think I would probably ask for a team of people that I know and trust to come with me and be like, okay, let's collaborate. What do you guys think? How do you think is the best way to cleanse the space? We got a lot of tools on our tool belt, so let's figure this out. One of my mentors, actually, the Reiki master who I learned from, she stayed at Estes Park. She stayed at the Stanley Hotel. She's a medium, so she was really interested to go there and see what experiences she could have.
She report back with any hauntings or?
Yeah, I think she did. She was she talked about in her hotel room there being a man sitting in the chair that she connected with.
Was it a bellhop or?
I don't know. I'm gonna have to ask her the rest of that story.
Yeah, I want to know.
I know that she woke up with people in her room, but that's not uncommon for her. As a medium, that's something she experiences on the regular. So, I think
that's wild. That's why. See,
yeah.
I'm glad I'm not a medium, because I don't want people popping up on me.
No, it's not fun. I don't have them popping up like where I can see them, but I do have a lot of energy sometimes in the middle of the night that's trying to bother me. So I've had to come up with my own rituals and my own boundaries where I have to say, listen, I'm sleeping. You guys need to leave me alone. And I think I suggest that for anyone who is experiencing too much anxiety and energy throughout the night. You can do it.
I liked it. I don't have to.
Well, should we get to the monkey?
We can, but final thoughts on The Shining. I think we hit everything. You got, I mean, go ahead with a final thought. We try to do this with every movie, but it's hard on this one.
Yeah. Final thought is just, I think this movie is like all encompassing. I don't necessarily find it to be that terribly scary as far as for me. It's not one that hits me in a place where I'm left being scared after watching it. I am amazed and definitely have high regard and respect for it as a movie. I think it's excellent. Very well done. Everything about it, I love it. But I'm not walking away going, oh, I can't go get ready for bed in the dark by myself now, which is what I felt after seeing The Ring.
Yes.
By comparison. Yeah.
But is that because of set and setting? You know, is it because of where it is? The Ring was anywhere you watched that movie. It was at your house. It followed you.
Yeah.
But
Definitely more psychological
yeah,
versus like just the terrifying images or that kind of thing. But yeah.
I loved it. My final thoughts are, I've already said everything I need to say, but the final thoughts are, this is Jack Nicholson blooming. You see,
Yeah.
and I've said this about the movie we did on the Witch Movie Project. What was the movie with Jack Nicholson and Sharon?
Witches of Eastwick. That's right. We did that movie last year.
He was
Yeah.
devilish in that movie, but this one
So good.
right here, you actually see Jack Nicholson's Joker. You see these villains. You
Yes.
get to see this. His facial expressions, his eyebrows, all of it. This is where he becomes iconic Jack Nicholson for like the next 15, 20 years. Like this is the birth of that. That's my final thought. And I know that's a whole other, maybe a take on it, but I just didn't get the chance to say that. But I do think that this is it. I don't want to say breakout because he was already big, but this will,
Yeah.
and I
But
think
this really showed his talent, I think. Like
it's
yeah.
Kubrick. I think it's because of
How
Kubrick. I
good he
think
really is.
doing it 100,000 times will make you good. Repetition will make you good. And I
If not, it'll just wear you out to the point where you'll be like, I just have to get this done.
yeah,
Let's
or
get it. Let's focus and get it done.
to the point to where like some actors in the movie, Danny, are done. He never made another movie.
Yeah.
You
Even
know,
though he was so good.
there's a lot of stuff that happened psychologically with this movie. Love it. The next movie, there's not a lot psychologically happening at all. The month.
No, I will say I enjoyed it. Well, you just reminded me of one other thing that I would say about Jack Nicholson. The moment that I realized something when he's drinking the what is it, gin that he's given, the bartender gives him. And I'm sitting there thinking, all right, this isn't really happening because there is no alcohol in the hotel. They made sure to point that out before the scene, right? At the beginning of the movie, there's no alcohol in the hotel. And he's somehow, through his own imagination, possibly his own madness, he's accessing alcohol and getting drunk. Okay.
Yeah.
My thoughts on that when I saw that were, if you cannot drink alcohol and still pretend or convince your own mind that you are drinking alcohol and having a great time and losing inhibitions, why can't we just live our lives like that without the substance? But just be like, if I was drunk right now, I wouldn't give about what anybody else thinks of me. I could dance. I could have fun. I could just enjoy my life. Why aren't we doing that to ourselves all the time? Why aren't we just tricking ourselves into being, I don't know, just
Happy?
kind of drunk with life?
Life? Yeah.
Yeah. It was kind of like a click for me in like, how do I take this moment and what I'm seeing on screen? How do I take this into my real life and go, wait a minute, I can just be drunk like anytime I want without actually being drunk? Like I can still, handle machinery. I can still drive. I can still do whatever I want. But if I was to just convince myself that I was drunk, I could just be that
Drunk.
if I want.
And then no hangover.
No hangover, no health risks. Just literally like, I'm just going to decide that right now I've had a drink and this is how I'm going to be having had my drink. Try it. Might be really fun. Life is a party. Right. I think it's kind of cool. Anyway, so I thought if you can mentally convince yourself like he did in that scene that he was drinking, why can't we all do that? That was my thought.
I love
So
it.
I don't know if that's my final thought, but that is my final thought.
That's the final thought. Let's all get drunk. Courtney's thought on The Shining is let's all get drunk together.
Let's just get drunk on life.
On life.
On just living, on just being alive. Let's just have a good time and enjoy it. Don't chop up your family.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Yeah. Don't do that. And
Don't
don't
do
do
that.
the next. Don't buy a monkey at a yard sale either.
Yes. Is Stephen King really good at making you just a little bit fearful of your own kids' toys? Like something like that simple could be in your own house. Your own kids have it. And you can just look at it a little bit longer, give it a second look. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
And this is the through line that I liked for these two movies where they're both Stephen King adaptations. And
Right.
The Shining, slow burn, serious. The Monkey, over the top, just chaos from the get. Like
Chaos.
there is no plot. It's two kids, two brothers get a cymbal clapping monkey that every time it claps, someone dies.
Yes. Well, I will point out, just before we get too far into this, that it isn't cymbals in this movie. This monkey has drums. I went on a deep dive about that because I was like, why? Because usually we see the monkey with
That's
the
right.
cymbals. Disney owns that image because of Toy Story 3. They have a monkey playing the cymbals. So when they made this movie, they were like, we aren't allowed to use the cymbal monkey. We have to use drums.
The drums.
Instead.
Hi. Look at you.
Disney.
So the drums, when the drums hit, somebody's going to die. It's a countdown, basically, right? It's a countdown.
Right.
I mean,
plays like that creepy circus music you can hear playing in the movie when you know something's going on, and the characters are like, "Oh, I hear that music. I know what that means." Right?
Yeah, and it's just this whole movie's fast paced, chaotic. You got, I mean, well, it's a movie that actually has a cursed object with actual rules laid out. You know, a lot of other stuff don't get the rules to the VHS tape. You know, 7 days and you die. That's the rules. But there are other.
Gonna happen. Yeah. You know what's interesting? There's a parallel with this movie. You don't know where the monkey came from. You don't know, and it's very clearly hard to get rid of because it's just gonna come back no matter what you do. It comes back around somehow. And Stephen King actually wrote an episode of X-Files, which is my favorite TV show of all time. Like, I was a huge in fact, I was looking at my yearbooks, my old high school and middle school yearbooks. We were looking for a teacher or something just yesterday or the day before. And we were looking through, and my son was reading all of the signed, people sign your yearbook. And he counted how many times people called me X-Files girl from middle school. I'm like, all right, so listen, I just have to say, I was really into X-Files and everybody knew it. So I was the X-Files girl. But season 5, episode 10 of X-Files is an episode called Chinga, which Stephen King wrote. And it was about a haunted doll that this little girl has. And every time the doll wakes up and says, "Let's have fun," somebody dies. So it's essentially the same story as the monkey. I think maybe they, took a short story, The Monkey, and he's like, let's make it into an episode of X-Files.
Yep.
How can we make it into something? But I think it's interesting, the parallel comparison to that. Again, we don't know where the doll came from. We don't know where the monkey came from. It's just all of a sudden there. And every time they try to get rid of it, it just keeps showing up again.
What is it about cursed objects that's like so scary? Like, why does this monkey, you know what I mean? Like, you said it. It's a kid's toy.
Yeah.
But there's unresolved energy in this monkey. Like, but why is that so much scarier than maybe the hotel in The Shining? And I'm just saying that loosely, but
Yeah. I think you said it earlier too, when you're like, the reason The Ring was so scary is because it's wherever you are. So I think, like, for a haunted place, I mean, everyone watching The Shining can kind of step away and disassociate from the story a little bit, because they can be like, well, I'll just never go to the Overlook Hotel. It's fine. I'm safe because I'm in my home and that's not where I am. So I'm good. But I think when it's something like a children's toy or an object like that, it's like, it could be anything. It could be something you bought at a yard sale. It could be something your kid is playing with right now.
where does the energy come from? Is it like childhood trauma coming through it? Or is it something is it actually a ghost? Is it actually a demon? What is it? A spirit? What is
or some kind of entity that just has it out for everybody. Like, it doesn't care who it is. The victims don't seem to have any. It's random, which is even more scary, because when the drums start playing, you can kind of see the anxiety of the main character. He's like, we have no idea who it's coming for.
Yeah.
You don't know who's next.
It's a death machine. It's just a death machine.
That's pretty creepy.
An evil death machine. No ambiguity. Just the drums fire off and then somebody's done. I mean, the death scenes themselves are so over the top.
I loved it. The humor in this movie, adding comedy to horror, I think that was wonderful because I think it just gave it a whole different like genre to be a part of. It was hilarious. So it was almost like once the deaths started happening, you kind of wanted to see what creative new way each person was going to die. You're not really as horrified. You're more like, okay, here we go.
Like,
what's going to happen?
You're like, oh, this better not be lame. It's the Final Destination movies.
Yes.
All over, you know, it's the Saw movies. It's all of those where how much more can we go? Can we do?
How far can we push this into the realm of possibility?
Like
the wasps or bees or whatever it was. That was the one that hit me. I was like, okay, here we go.
Yeah, all this crazy stuff. You had bodies exploding, just gore,
falling
blood.
through ceilings.
It was, yeah, you get to the point where you're cheering for the deaths. You really are, because they are so over the top and exaggerated and all these things. And it's like you want to be surprised. The slasher movies are fun and all, but we want to see what's the most we can do.
Yeah. How creative are these deaths going to be? I could imagine being in the writer's room, you know, if I was like a team of writers and we're like, hey, we got to come up with the most creative, interesting way to die. I mean, what can we come up with?
The director,
which then it almost points you right at what I think is the theme of this movie. Like you said, it's not much of a plot, but I do think there is an underlying theme here, which is how comfortable are you with death? Because the scene where the mom is talking to her two boys and they've just lost their babysitter in a very gruesome way, right in front of them. So they're still young and trying to grasp this idea of like, our babysitter was alive 1 minute and then she wasn't. And the mom is just kind of like, we all die. We're all going to die. You're going to die. I'm going to die. That's life. It's just inevitable. And then you kind of get to that at the end when he's telling his son basically the same thing. He's like, I guess we'll go dance now because that's life. Life is death and life is dancing. It's all the things.
It's repetition.
Get comfortable with it.
It's repetition. It's a circle.
Settle into it.
The circle of life. Repetition. Just.
Wow.
I like that.
Yeah. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to have all your feelings about it, but like fighting it and acting like it shouldn't happen or, you know, whatever, or like that you can predict it or that you can, you know, direct it in some way. Cause that's what the brother was trying to do. He was trying to use the monkey to kill his brother. So he's like trying to direct that energy. And he was so frustrated that nobody, like, he's like, obviously it doesn't listen to me. Well, death isn't like that. It's not going to listen to what you have to say. It's going to do what it's going to do.
Just evil. Well, not the monkey's evil.
Or natural.
Death is not evil. Death is natural. The monkey was evil in how it operated. I think it could have had maybe some less violent deaths if it would have really cared about
these poor people. Like, you're just like, oh, great. Now, how is this going to happen? And to the point, Sarah Levy, who plays the aunt, her death was amazing because you kept thinking you knew what was going to happen. Like her falling through the stairs. You're like, oh, here it comes. But that wasn't it. She had all the hooks in her face and she's over there trying to pull them out of her face. She survived that part. But then it continues on until her death is actually really horrific and awful.
Sarah Levy, loved her. Let's talk about other people too, because you got Osgood Perkins, who was the director and the writer. You were talking about what was the writer's room like, and it was Osgood Perkins and probably Stephen King. He had some input too. And
right.
I got to say though, that what got me to watch this movie was the fact that Adam Scott and Elijah Wood are in it. I'm like,
yeah.
Wait a minute. I mean, okay, let me see what this is all about. I would love for Elijah Wood to become known as that guy in the monkey, and Adam Scott too. That'd be fun, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it be fun?
Yeah, and they were small roles. I mean, they weren't in it much, but what they did do was absolutely hilarious and perfect.
And that's when I really I knew this movie. I was like, all right, well, this isn't going to be a serious movie. This is like fun. This is your movie theater. Grab your popcorn, get wild. It's going to be a wild ride. I enjoyed it. I thought it was cleverly done. You could have done this movie wrong. You could have done it bad. I don't think it was. I think it was fun. That's the point. It's not going to win an Oscar. No. Why would it?
Right.
It's not made for that. Not every movie out there is made to win an Oscar. This one entertained. It entertained the shit out of me.
Yes.
I think
It was very
I
entertaining.
texted you late. It was like 1 a.m. Like, oh my God, Courtney, you gotta watch the monkey.
I know. And I was like, oh, I wanted to point out the monkey itself, the toy. I want you to notice, and anyone watching it, you watch it again, notice that the eyes are a really crucial part of what makes this monkey. Even the mouth, it's almost, it gives you the impression that the monkey was made out of real people. Like, it's like their mouth and then made into a toy. But the eyes looking straight at you, there's a point where he's holding it and you can kind of see the boy in the shot, but the monkey's eyes are almost turned to the camera and looking straight at you. This is what made me think of the artwork in Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. Do you remember those really amazing, creepy artwork in those books? They were like getting banned from libraries because people were like, these are too scary for kids. But the artwork in that book, in that series of books, they look at you, the audience. The eyes are always looking straight at you. Even if they're like turned, the eyes are looking at you. So there's something to that just adds that level of creepiness that I think that they captured in some of the scenes with the monkey.
I love that. I love that because I think you're very right. I mean, even the promotional posters, I think, used the monkey's eyes only just that part. And I think I did see some of that, but that's a great point out. How would you cleanse that monkey? Pearl versus the monkey. Who wins?
Do you know what's interesting is I usually I do utilize drumming in cleansing work quite a bit. I like the use of sound, bells and drums when cleansing a space. I mean, obviously you have certain crystals that are used for cleansing, like the selenite and the tourmaline that you put in your house. But I will just point this out real quick for anyone listening to people who like to use saging or smudging. That practice, while it can cleanse a space, is more often used ceremonial in indigenous practices as a way to call in the ancestors. So I'd be careful about how you're using that. A lot of people just get into witchcraft or work in that field and they think, oh, sage, white sage will just cleanse. We always use white sage for cleansing. And I'm like, whoa, hold on. Maybe research it. Maybe look into that a little bit more because it's not always used for that purpose. But it's interesting because if I were to use drums to cleanse a space, cleansing an object that is using drums to kill people, where do you go from there? I'd be like, back to the drawing board, I guess. We got to figure something else out.
Like a flute or something. I don't know. You have to get another instrument.
Good point.
Like a fairy flute.
Maybe it needs something else. Yeah, but definitely maybe as fire is used at one point to cleanse this monkey. We found out that didn't work, but the opening sequence, he's like, die! Just blast that monkey into the flame thrower.
Or whatever. They burnt the monkey, buried the monkey, cut the monkey up. Can't get rid of that monkey.
That's why they decide at the end, they're like, you know what? We'll just keep it around. Just keep it around.
Do you think that the monkey could be a symbol for like what is it, generational trauma or generational?
Absolutely. Yes.
They can't get rid
I mean, look at that father-son dynamic. We had that in The Shining as well. This like what is passed down from one generation to the next. It's kind of like his sort of neglect of his son. While his son obviously has a lot of trauma about that, he's got abandonment issues. He's like, well, you're not around anyway. Like, you're just going to sign your rights away and not be my dad anymore. Like, he's obviously like in turmoil over that during the film. But finding out that there's a whole story he doesn't know about, that his dad, it's not that his dad doesn't want him. And it's not that his dad doesn't love him. He's trying to protect him from this generational curse. I mean, how much do we see that in family dynamics? That sometimes we pass on something inadvertently because we're trying so hard not to pass something along.
So maybe this movie was deeper than, now that we're talking about it, and I started thinking, I was like, hey, hang on a second here.
Yeah. There's this underlying plot too that just kind of points at something that's more emotionally complicated and in depth. And the fact that the bowling ball at the end is what gets the brother, spoiler alert, sorry, we're assuming people have watched it. So the bowling ball that gets him, it says Lois on it. His mother's bowling ball, right? It's Lois the mother. It's kind of her theme throughout this too, right? Like her involvement in her sons. She's like either the one who's holding it all together, or she's the one pointing out, these are where the issues are at. This is what you got to deal with. You can't ignore it. This is death. You can't ignore death.
Lois, much like Wendy in The Shining, they're the anchor.
Yeah.
They're the glue, whatever you want to call it. They're holding it together.
Exactly. I love that. And I had to write down because where these twin boys, the storyline is that they hate each other so much. I have twin boys. So I wrote down, like, I would be so sad if my boys felt this way about each other or treated each other this way. So just a little insight there. Yeah. I'm going to be like, no, we don't do that. We don't do that.
No monkeys in the house. I want to make this clear that I'm not bashing the monkey at all, because I keep saying it didn't have a story and plot. No, I think I thought it was fun house horror.
Mm-hmm.
At the highest level of fun, capital all FUN, because I had a good time. Like, this was a movie this is my final thought, if you can't tell, but I enjoyed it. I highly enjoyed it. It was one of those that I put on late at night thinking, I'll probably just doze off. No, I watched the whole damn thing. Like, it kept me entertained.
Good.
Like I said,
Yeah.
not every movie's going to win an Oscar. Not every movie has to. What they should do is entertain. Like this one did. It fulfilled its duties. How about that? I didn't feel like, oh my God, I'll never get that time back again. No,
not at all.
Yeah, not
like some other movies.
Dude, it's not The Exorcist 2 here.
No, and even that movie had its redeeming qualities. It's nothing is all bad or all one thing. Yeah, I agree. I think this was a fun watch. I really do. I keep having, as I'm watching horror movies for the sake of the Ghost Movie Project, and I go, oh, it's work. I got to get to work and watch my ghost movie for today. My son, my 11-year-old, is like, is this one that I can watch? Is this one that I can watch? He keeps trying to push it. And he goes, when can I watch The Shining? When am I old enough? And I'm like, yeah, no, not yet. But I did let him watch the X-Files episode that I talked about, Chinga, that's very comparable to the monkey. He did watch the X-Files episode just fine. He was able to handle that okay without nightmares. So we're making progress. The monkey is definitely a fun watch, but so deliciously gory, and all these like massively push it over the top death scenes are kind of a lot of fun.
So you're going to let him watch The Monkey next, huh?
Not anytime soon. Yeah.
I mean, you did.
I can handle gore a lot better than I can handle, other things that I maybe would deem inappropriate for kids. But yeah.
You did say you were going to show your kids Talk to Me.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to put that on the list of when they're old enough.
I thought you said
well,
not.
It's going to be the first time they ask me, can I go to a party with my friends? I'm going to be like, you got to watch this movie first.
All right, I got that.
Station.
And they might be like, that could be like next week. You're going to end up getting CPS called on you because you're letting them kids watch Talk to Me. We're kidding.
Yeah. Well, maybe when he's like 15.
Those movies are great. I love all the horror movies. This is such a fun project. That was your final thought on The Monkey? That was mine? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's great. I had a great time.